Kamusta everyone, and welcome to another video this week. And before we start, I just want to thank everyone for supporting all the videos so far. And if you guys have a little bit of time, you can use my Lunacian code in your marketplace website. It's code Xero right here. Just add it onto your marketplace account and it will help me a bunch. This week we're going to talk about the top 10 underrated cards in Axie Infinity Origin. So the first card I really want to talk about here is Navaga. Navaga is an aqua tail card that if used initial, it will cause the attack to Axie to go into stealth. So this card has a fantastic effect and also has a decent damage. It's 70 damage, and if used initial, you can cause the attack to Axie to go into stealth. So what this effect really helps you with is that you can completely avoid taunts. That way, the opponent uses a taunt, you can just cast Navaga as an initial, and then the taunted Axie will go into stealth, which means that he cannot be targeted. Then you can attack his front Axie or whichever Axie that's left remaining. So that is a huge effect that people don't really notice or use. It is only a 43% win rate overall in Tiger and above, and only has a 0.33% usage rate, which is what I feel really low on such an amazing card. You can use it to completely avoid shields on his front Axie and just get 2 or 3 damage onto his mid or back line, and that is a fantastic card to have. So hopefully this card gets a little bit more love. I know it's on the tail part, so a lot of people run Nemos or Cottontails or Carrots, but Navaga has a fantastic damage as well as having fantastic effects. I hope this card gets a little bit more love in the future. Definitely one of the underrated cards in this season. So the next card I want to talk about is Beach. Beach is a plant horn card which has fantastic stats, which makes it really surprising that it has only 43% win rate. 45% win rate overall in Tiger and above brackets, and it only has a 0.5% usage rate, which means that out of 1,000 players, there's only 5 players really using this, which is pretty surprising. It has fantastic stats. It does 90 damage and gives you 75 shield. 2 cost is fantastic in the current meta because of how the turn structure goes and how your card draws come into place, especially if you start turn 1. So with only a 0.5% usage rate, I expect this card to get a lot more love as people finally figure out that multiple 2 costs will become the way to go, especially if you want to start turn 1. And Beach is one of the best front horn cards to have because 1, you don't need taunt. 2, you do fantastic damage, and the shield comes into play as well. So definitely I hope to see this card gets utilized more in the future. The next card I really want to talk about is Koi. Yet another aqua tail card that's not getting love. It does 115 damage, which was just recently buffed in the latest patch base, and for every alive aqua you get bonus damage. So imagine if you're running a triple aqua team, Koi is actually fantastic on the front line because you use it once, you get the maximum burst you can get out of it, and then you just let the front die. You always will draw your Nemos on the mid and back because you just get a little bit more rotations after that. And remember when we talked about 2 costs, this is one of the best tail 2 costs for damage in a triple aqua lineup. Definitely needs a bit more love. Only has 46% win rate and a 0.39% usage rate. I hope once again people realize that with the new turn structure, it is a lot more beneficial to have at least 1 2 cost card in your whole team, and Koi in an aggro or even a mid-range aqua team is fantastic to fill that spot. Once again, we're going to talk about another 2 cost card, and this time is on a beast tail. Can you guess what it's about? If you guessed Shiba, you guessed it right. Shiba is a fantastic frontline tail card which has a great effect, especially if you're playing a mid-range rage team, because look at what it does. It's a 2 cost 130 damage, which deals pretty decent damage for the energy it costs. It gives you 4 rage tags across your entire team if that Axie with the Shiba is below 75% HP, which is a very easy condition to meet, especially if you play it on the front. So right now we're seeing a couple of Shiba teams being played in high MMR, but definitely with only 43% win rate and 0.61% usage rate, I definitely see this card becoming more and more popular in the future. But right now, it's just really underutilized, and people will eventually figure out that this is one of the best tail cards to play on a mid-range rage team, and it will get some love in the future. Definitely one of the cards that you really want to look out for. What's with all the 2-cost tail cards today? We're gonna talk about another one right here. It is Rancho, an aqua tail card which has a fantastic anti-aggro effect. It is a 2-cost tail that deals 40 damage to each opponent on the field, and that's not all. It also gives you weak against the entire opposing team for 2 turns. So 2 turns, not a fantastic effect, but the weak itself can save your front line for just another turn. Not to mention, if you just put a paralyzing jellyfish on the tail on Rancho, you can get vulnerable on his entire team for 4 turns. So this is a very slept on card. It has a 52% win rate, but only a 0.33% usage rate in Tiger and above brackets. One of the best anti-aggro tail cards. It is a 2-cost once again. We talked about the benefits and advantages of having a 2-cost tail card, or even a 2-cost any card. So definitely one of those cards you really want to just tech into your team. It can deal with summons, it can de-aggro the entire opposing team, and if you have a paralyzing jellyfish, it also sets up your next aggro turn. So a fantastic tail card that I hope to see more on the leaderboards. Enough with the tail cards, let's talk a little bit about Topaz. It is a reptile eye card, which is a fantastic scaling tool. For every banished card, you get 10 more damage, and it starts off with 25 damage. So I did a lot of testing with Topaz, especially with multiple banishes, even something simple like a carrot banish team. You can get plenty of damage out of Topaz. It is only having a 50% win rate with a 0.79% usage rate, one of the highest usage rate cards we're gonna see in this video. But it is one of the most slept on one as well, because people think that, you know, getting the banishes off is pretty difficult, but this is a fantastic late game card on your back line, and it can deal wonders to the opponent team, especially in a 1 versus 1 situation where you can deal upwards of 145 damage without any runes and charms. And that's on the 1v1 situation. That is a fantastic winning condition. So definitely look out for more of these Topaz Aquas or even Topaz Beasts, because they are gonna pack a punch. Next, let's talk about Mary, a beast horn card which just received some love from Sky Mavis, and I think it's one of the best horn cards for shielding ever. It is a 80 shield if you use it on any ally, but if you use it initial, you will shield your entire team for 50% of the base stat. So you will shield your entire team for 40 shields each. Now that doesn't sound fantastic, but what if you use a Rise and Ruin rune on a plant with Mary? You essentially heal your entire team for 36 health, and also give them 36 shields. Not to mention, it is you can also target it if you want to just have an 80 shield on top. So a fantastic de-aggro card, whether it's against poisons or if it's against any sort of AoE, and you still get both, the best of both worlds. You either shield your entire team or shield just one Axie. So definitely one of the cards you want to look out for. It has a 53% win rate, but only a 0.35% usage rate. So whoever's using this card right now is really having success, finding success on it, but anyone else who's not is definitely missing out. Jumping right back into tails, we're gonna talk about Potato Leaf. Potato Leaf is a 1-cost 65 damage tail card for plants, which gains stealth for 2 turns if there is at least one non-stealth Axie alive. So what this does is that it essentially gives you a reverse taunt. So instead of taunting on a midline or a backline, you use Potato Leaf to cast stealth on your own Axie on the front or even on the mid, and then you will just cause the aggro onto your front and just give your front line one more turn to use all its cards. So it's a fantastic stall comp tail card which has not been really highly used, but it's finding fantastic success. It's 54% win rate, which is one of the highest win rate cards we're going to talk about today, but only 0.41% usage rate. Definitely a very underrated card, and I've already seen a lot of healing players start utilizing this card, but definitely there is more room for people to start using this as well. Next, we're going to talk about yet another horn card. It is Trump. I know a lot of people have been memeing about this card, but this received a fantastic buff in the past patch. So what Trump does right now is that it deals 60 damage base, but when you play more of the Trump copies, you gain 6 damage per Trump use. So it essentially becomes some sort of a nutcrack or a little owl combo, but instead of having it all on one Axie, you need the Trump on the entire team. So I've been playing around with Trump a little bit, and it is pretty decent, especially in a 3 Trump lineup. It is one of those cards that have been memed on in V2 as well as Origin. People who've watched my streams know that I really love this card in both versions, and right now I hope to see it used a lot more. Only 48% win rate and 0.24% usage rate, but I hope to change that because I have a sick Trump build coming on. Watch out, ladder, I'm coming for you. And finally, one of the most important cards of this entire patch. It is a plant back card. I hope you guys can guess what it is because it is Biden's. It received a little bit of love from Sky Mavis as well in the latest patch. It now has retain over its previous effect, which didn't have retain. What it essentially does is that it removes all debuffs on one ally. It is a one cost card, of course, but the retain makes it a lot more palatable because you can just keep it in your hand if you don't use it. What Biden's really helps with is anti-poison. There's so many poison lineups in the leaderboards right now that you really need Biden's on one of your Axies, and it will help you tremendously. So it only has a 50% win rate and a 0.69% usage rate. Of course, this becomes a dead card against aggro teams, but with the retain, if you play this on a mid or back line, if you don't need it, just don't use it. You still have that option to get rid of something, say for example a chomp or a weak or a vulnerable. All these effects will completely get removed by Biden's because remember, it removes all debuffs on that ally. And with the retain addition of the mechanic, it becomes a very viable tech card on your back, and you don't lose out too much on it if you play on your aggro team or your mid-range team, because it will come into use, and if you don't need it, just don't use it. So that's all the cards we're going to talk about in this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and hope you guys will start finding value out of these 10 cards. This is Xero, and this is going to be all for today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and have a great weekend, everybody.